The camera has quickly become the most important part of any smartphone for many people, and identifying what makes a camera great or bad is important, especially when you're dropping $1,000 on a brand new smartphone. Samsung's Galaxy Note 8 features a truly excellent camera in many ways, but it still falls short of the mark in the same way that we've seen Samsung stumble for years now. Hey everybody, it's Nick from Android Headlines, and this is our review of the Samsung Galaxy Note 8's camera. So let's get this out of the way first. Samsung hasn't made many changes at all from the Galaxy S8, and as a result, you'll see essentially identical picture and video quality here. What they have added, however, is a fancy new dual camera system and one that works incredibly well to say the least. On the back sits a 12 megapixel main sensor, the same one as in the Galaxy S8, which sports 1.4 micron sized pixels and an f-stop 1.7 lens, while this new second camera only features 1.0 micron pixels and an f-stop 2.4 lens. For the time being, it seems that Samsung is basically only utilizing this sensor in one new mode, live focus, which probably explains why it's a technically lesser capable sensor. This new mode is simply awesome, and it's not just the usual depth of field bokeh style trick that looks good, it's how everything is implemented. Pulling up live focus gives you a 2x zoomed in look thanks to the optical zoom on that secondary camera's lens, and a slider that lets you adjust the background blur intensity on the fly. Much like other modes in Samsung software, everything is processed in real time, and the phone even takes a picture from each camera at the same time, later offering you the ability to fully refocus the shot, as well as save each camera's image individually. This mode didn't just look phenomenal in portrait shots, which truly look like professional grade photos, but it even worked well with moving objects and people too. It's fast, accurate, and presents fantastic results most of the time. The rest of the camera experience is the usual inconsistent stuff that we've seen from Samsung for quite some time, but ultimately your view of these photos is going to rely on what you do with them in the end. Do you primarily just share pictures and video to social networks, or just view them on your phone? If so, you can pretty much stop here. This is going to be the greatest camera of all time when viewing stuff this way, and the unbelievable AMOLED panel on the Note 8 will make you think it's impossible to take a better picture on any other hardware, smartphone or not. If you're like me and regularly zoom into shots to see things more up close, or crop images to focus on something smaller than the big picture, you may not be so happy. A combination of things are happening here, and we've mentioned them in every Samsung review since the Galaxy Note 3, with the odd exception of the Note 7 last year, strangely enough. Samsung tends to favor low ISO and high shutter speed, as the company seems to be deathly afraid of any sort of noise in the shot at all. The first problem comes when using the phone indoors or in any kind of moderate light. In these conditions, it normally favors a very slow shutter speed, less than 1/15 of a second, and despite having image stabilization, photos appear slightly blurry when zooming in at all. I had this happen very often, and it's not something that will happen when using Google Camera, for instance, which in general fixes most of these issues. The second issue is in image processing as a whole, particularly when it comes to denoise and over-sharpening of a shot, where, once again, Samsung's bizarre fear of noise in a shot ends up creating what looks like more of a watercolor painting when zoomed in at all. That 2x zoom lens on the secondary camera does help out a bit. This is not a megapixel problem, as once again, that patched version of Google Camera with HDR Plus does not suffer from these issues. You could always use that software, but it is significantly slower than the built-in Samsung software because it's not exactly made for this phone. Worse yet, you won't find these problems happening in every photo, and it's fairly difficult to reproduce the problem, even in the same location or situation. Low light, for instance, tends to produce images that have better zoom detail than daylight shots, but that's only true in situations where there's enough light to keep the ISO low. Once you get into ultra-low light situations, say with only a single light source illuminating the scene, for instance, the detail drops to pretty poor, although again, if you're just looking at this on the phone's screen, you'll probably be pretty blown away. Inconsistent photo quality aside, the rest of the experience here is amazing. Video quality is as good as ever, producing incredibly sharp, clear, and vibrant photos with great dynamic range and accurate colors. This is not HDR video, so you're not going to see anything crazy with dynamic range here, but in general, it is better than most phones. Motion is kept mostly smooth, thanks to Samsung's combination of optical and digital stabilization methods, and while it's not the single smoothest in the industry, it does not seem to suffer from those weird jitter effects that some other stabilization methods do. I did have issues with video stuttering in the first seconds of 4K recording, but it gets ironed out just after that and stays smooth the rest of the way. Samsung's selfie game is just as good as ever, with stickers and masks for many situations, each lending some extra fun to your shots. The slight redesign here from the Galaxy S8 is not my cup of tea though, and I much prefer the larger tiles on the S8's interface to the smaller scrolling row here. The camera up front features 1.22 micron pixels and an f-stop 1.7 lens, producing some great quality shots as a whole that are very well lit. While it's still not quite as high quality as the Pixels camera, the extra features here may just be enough to outweigh the quality difference for some folks. Launching speed and focusing are just as lightning fast as ever, with the camera software launching in under 2 seconds every time, or back to Galaxy S7 speeds, and focusing still remains well under 300 milliseconds, or basically faster than you can blink. It's an awesome camera experience that's mostly superb, and while there are definitely other cameras that offer better zoom detail, most of the other factors here are either tied with the best of the industry, or take the cake as the best in the industry. Are you going to be happy with this camera in the end? Survey says yes. We hope you enjoyed that review and will subscribe to us for regularly updated content. Check out our full Galaxy Note 8 review and what makes it so special, and don't forget to check us out on your favorite social media network or at androidheadlines.com. Thanks for watching, and until next time.